You already said today.
Okay, everybody. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to a wonderful class today. This class is is based on the Parsha of the week, Parsha's Matos. We read this. We end actually this week the book of Numbers, and we go into the next week Parsha Devarim, the book of Deuteronomy, and this week's Parsha is something that we mentioned. We started off last week already speaking about the concept of choice, the true concept of choice that we officially have. The choice that we all have is connected to the choice of God. So we have by God also that God chose two entities in the world. And what is the meaning that God chose these two entities? We find it in the Torah, the choice of Am Yisrael, that God chose the Jewish nation, and the second choice that the Eibusha chose is the Eibusha chose the Eretz Yisrael, the land of Israel. That the land of Israel is a choice that the Eibusha chose out of all the lands of the world. The Eibusha chose this world, this land, this earth, part of the world, all the physical world that the Eibusha created. The Eibusha in his creation of the world chose the Eretz Yisrael, chose the land of Israel. What is the meaning of this concept of these choices? And the real meaning to us, to every Jew, what is the meaning of that the Eibusha chose the Jewish nation? We know that the concept of the God chose the Jewish nation didn't bring the Jewish people too much nachas, what do you want to call it? Too much happiness. It brought us a lot of headaches. As Fidna on the Roof once said, Tevye said, and Fidna on the Roof, that God maybe should choose once in a while somebody else. But because seemingly it brought us headaches, it brought us the opposites of go away from the source. And in this, we started text number 1 is we say it in our davening based on a verse that you have chosen us from all the other nations and tongues. What it was, so here right away, in the Siddur, it says, what was the choice? What was the purpose of this choice that God chose? Is v'keraftanu malkeinu l'shimcha agado ba'ava. You are king. You brought us closer. Your great name with love. To self-understood. To serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We have the obligation to serve God. That means our choice, God's choice, was in a concept that we would do something. This choice was not thus to do nothing. The Eibusha brought us closer so that we would serve him. So where do we see this concept of choice? So therefore, again, let's go to the verse. Text number 2a, you have on page 19. You have the verse in Exodus. It says, you have seen, God says, Moshe Rabbeinu says, you have seen, Atem ni'isem asher sisim matayim. You have seen what I did to Egypt. I bore you on the eagle's wings. And I brought you to me. But what is the meaning of that? And now, therefore, if you obey my covenant, and you shall be a treasure. You'll be a treasure out of all people. For mine is the entire earth. So it's an interesting expression over here the Torah uses. You shall be a treasure for all people. It means everybody is a treasure. Everybody is special, but you're going to be a segula. Mikol amin. See the Sefarna on that pasuk says in Sefarna 2b, Sefarna Vadir Sefarna, writes, he explains, you shall be a treasure out of all people. The entire human race, he says, is more precious to me than all lower creatures. The human race is special to me. God says, I love all humanity because the purpose of creation is fulfilled through them. Indeed, our sage of blessed memory taught, beloved are human beings, for they are created all in the image of God. So God says, I've created humanity to be different. I've created all human beings to be different. But nevertheless, we call Makrim, nevertheless, from amongst all, you shall be my treasure. So that means that God says that within humanity, which I believe humanity is special, is different, as humanity is created in the image of God. So every human being is unique, and every human being has a purpose. But within this humanity, within the human race, I wanted a special entity, which is the Jewish nation, which Chassidus explains also with the concept of choice. The Eibishter doesn't say that there's a difference between a Jew and a non-Jew. Because if there was a difference, then there's no choice. But the Eibishter says, I've created a treasure between the nations, means that there's no difference. The Eibishter says, I've chosen you for Segula. And that's really what the question, what means as a treasure, Segula. Segula is a treasure. Segula. Oh, very good ears. I have very good ears. The Eibishter created me with extremely good ears. I have deficiencies and efficiencies. So whatever I was deficient in, the Eibishter made sure to create me in other things very deficient. I can hear. That's why when people talk in the back of the show, I hear it. So it's very. Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you. Yeah, it's a very. It's a quality and a disquality. It's a good thing and a bad thing. But he created me a loud mouth and a good ears. So
loud mouth.
Yeah, very loud. So that's the way it is. Okay, so Segula means a prize. How do you translate it over here? A treasure. Segula. Okay, the word the Segula can be translated in different words. So the Eibishter says, in essence, that even though every person is special, nobody, whether you're Jew or non-Jew, it doesn't make a difference. We're part of, as I always tell people, there shouldn't be a race war because we're all part of the human race, right? Part of the human race. We're all human beings. So how can there be concepts of different races? It doesn't make really sense. We're part of the human race. And there's no difference between human beings. We're all the same. We are all part of humanity, and therefore we should all love each other, and we should all help each other, and we should all be there for each other. It doesn't make a difference who you are. Nevertheless, within this human race, the Eibishter said, I've chosen not to make one over the other. And that's why God uses the word choice. If the world would understand this, God uses the word choice. When the Eibishter says choice, that means he doesn't want to make a difference in a way between one and the other, because that's, if the second you say, oh, the Jews are better, then there's no choice, then you've lost the word choice. If God would say, I've chosen the Jewish people because they're better people, then you have a problem. Yeah. If God would say, I've chosen the Jewish people because I think they're holier, then you have a problem. Because then in essence, God says, group A is holier, better, more significant than group B. Then there's not choice already. Then you have lost the word choice. The Eibishter says, I've chosen the Jewish people for responsibility. Yeah. And I can use Segula. That's why the Hebrew language is a very complicated language on one hand, and it's a very it's a living language, because Segula I can translate in many different ways. Segula is poetic. because it can be used, the word can be used in many different ways. Over here, we use the word, the treasure. But in really, the word segula means, as in this class, it means as a responsibility. I've given a responsibility to the Jewish nation that I have not given to the rest of the world. Okay, I've given a responsibility. The truth is, the Eibishter gives responsibilities to every creation in the world. Every creation in the world has a certain responsibility, whether they're animals, whether they're vegetation, whether they're humans, whether they're male and female. The Eibishter gives a responsibility to each and every single. The truth is, we say every morning a bracha that the Eibishter made us a man. The Eibishter gave us a responsibility, not making us a woman, and created us a man. The Eibishter gave responsibility in the aspect of womanhood too. There's a responsibility. That's the concept of choice, what God chose the Jewish nation. And the Rebbe is going to show that in the concept of choice of Am Yisrael and Eretz Yisrael, to what the meaning of choice is. What the expression in choice means to God, and really what should it mean to us in the aspect of our choice. So where do we see this concept is also in text number 3. The Eibush is in this week's Parsha. We come to this week's Parsha. You shall clear out the land and settle it, for I have given it the land to occupy it. That means the Eibush says, I've given Eretz Yisrael, I've given this land a special connection to the Jews because of that responsibility. The land has a responsibility, and the nation that lives over it has this responsibility. Let's bring now the Gemara. There's a free. The Gemara says as follows. The following story was told of Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseida, Rabbi Masir ben Chorosh, Rabbi Chanina ben Achai, Rabbi Yeshua, and Rabbi Nosson. They were walking in the diaspora. They were walking in Bavel. And when they reached Flatum, that is exactly. The Misrabi reached a beautiful place in this area, and they remembered Israel. They remembered the land of Israel. And they cried bitter tears, and they tore their clothes in mourning, and they cried the words of the verse, "You shall clear out the land and settle in it." They said, living in Israel is equal to all the mitzvahs in the Torah. The Makor. This is the statement in the Gemara. They said living, and the answer is simple. Why? They realized the destruction of the temple, what it brought about the diaspora. They realized what did the diaspora bring about is about that the 664 mitzvahs, over 64 commandments that the Jewish people cannot accomplish until the building of the Beis HaMikdash and the coming of Mashiach, in essence. They realized what meant to the living in Eretz Yisrael. Living in Eretz Yisrael doesn't mean per se the physical living in Eretz Yisrael. It's the spiritual living in Eretz Yisrael. It's what the Eibusher chose the land, that what you can accomplish in the land of Israel, what you cannot accomplish in any other land in the world. So that's why when we learned this today, the Eretz Yisrael Ligvuleha, the land of Israel to its boundaries, Rashi right away says that the land of Israel to its boundaries is to what the boundaries, the mitzvahs that the boundaries brought to the Jewish people. That in these boundaries, you have certain mitzvahs that you cannot accomplish anywhere else in the world. So these rabbis, as they were walking in, might be a beautiful part of whatever, like it was in Rome, there's beautiful, beautiful parts of the world. There's beautiful parts of America. There's beautiful parts in every world, in every country, in every part of the world. I don't think these rabbis are on 23rd Street and Broadway. I don't think so. So they were probably in Iraq or Syria area. So they were there, and they said, "Wow, this is a beautiful place." Nobody's arguing the beautiful of the place, but real beauty is Eretz Yisrael. Real beauty, real beautiful land is the land of Israel, and we cannot. And the land of Israel in its beauty, where we can do these mitzvahs of the Eibishter, and we cannot do it in Eretz in Flatten, whatever this place was. We cannot do this, right? We can't do it in Boca Raton, right? So you look at the next test, the beautiful next test, also expression. I was once sitting in the great study hall in Yerushalayim before the sages, and I asked them, why did King Omariah merit to 3 generations of his descendants would assume the throne? Something none of his predecessors merited. And let me tell you something. We are talking about Achav, succeeded by Achziyahu, was succeeded by Yerovam ben Avat. These were 3 wonderful Jewish kings. I will say it in that kind of expression. There were 3 wonderful Jewish kings. I mean the opposite. There were 3 very terrible kings of Israel. These were terrible kings. And the Gemara, that's why the Gemara asked the question, why did this guy merit to not only be king of Israel, but to have 3 wonderful son and grandson and great-grandson? Why did they merit this? They told me, we don't know. Good question. It's a good question. I said to them, rabbis, Omri merited and saw 3 generations of kings on the throne of Israel because he built a great city. These were because he merited, because not only was he a king in the land of Israel, but he built a city in Eretz. So he enhanced a place in Israel. And if you enhance a place in Eretz Yisrael, it's a great merit. You know that this was the Alter Rebbe bought land in Eretz Yisrael. Right? The Alter Rebbe established the first soup kitchen in Eretz Yisrael. He established the first organization that helped, what do you want to call it, the first welfare, or not a society of giving called Kol Chabad in Yerushalayim, and it's still there, soup kitchen in Eretz Yisrael, to help the needy of Israel. He lived in Russia. He bought land in Eretz Yisrael. It's still there, Yerushalayim, and so too his son bought land in Eretz Yisrael, and so too his grandson at Tzemach Tzedek, and so too every Lubavitcher Rebbe made sure to acquire a land in Eretz Yisrael, to build upon it, and to build a synagogue or build a place of a soup kitchen, whatever you want to call it, a place where people can come and help the needy, etc. in the land of Eretz Yisrael. It's something that you should think about acquiring, not only a personal house in Eretz Yisrael, but a place where Yiddishkeit can flourish in the land of Eretz Yisrael.
And isn't part of the Tanya, he wanted.
Yeah. It's later on, and we're going to read it. The Midshem in Kuntas Achrin, where the Alter Rebbe writes in the Alter Rebbe's letters to his majority of his letters is concerning the helping the Jews in Eretz Yisrael and creating places of that where Jews in Eretz Yisrael can come and have their sustenance, because there was extreme poverty in the land of Israel at that time. And there was extreme poverty in Russia. But the Alter Rebbe felt that even though that we need to help the people of Russia, we never should forget the people of Eretz Yisrael. Because by helping Eretz Yisrael, especially the Jews in Eretz Yisrael, is helping the Jews in the world. And that was his attitude, and that was the way it should be. It should be that we should never, that wherever we are living, whether in Boca or anywhere in the world, we should remember to build Eretz Yisrael, to remember to continue on building the land of Israel, because there's no greater place in the world than Eretz Yisrael. Why? Because that's where And so that's what that God chose for the Jewish nation. But the Rebbe's next pasuk shows that the choice of Eretz Yisrael was more than the Jewish nation because it was chosen before the Jewish nation was chosen. It was chosen as a land that will be put upon it, the Jewish nation. That was chosen, as you see in this week's Parsha. The Eibishter calls Eretz Yisrael Eretz Canaan, the land of Canaan. I've chosen the land of Canaan. Why doesn't the pasuk say, I've chosen Eretz Yisrael? It's not called in the Parsha this week the land of Israel. It's called the land of Canaan. The land of Canaan. The Canaan was a nation that lived there before the Jewish people lived there. And David said, nevertheless, I have chosen this land as a land different than any other land in the world. That means that the Eibishter, that means that there's two concepts in Eretz Yisrael. The concept of the choice of HaKadosh Baruch Hu as a land has no difference between this land and any other land, but the Eibishter chose it as a land, and that it becomes Eretz Yisrael. It becomes the land of Israel. It's two different entities, two different concepts. That's in your verse. You are going to the land of Canaan. You're going to the land of Canaan. The land of Canaan is a land that was there before. But nevertheless, I have chosen that land. That land was chosen when I created the world. When I created the world. I've chosen that it's Canaan. And then it took thousands of years ultimately for the Jewish people to come to the land of Canaan. Therefore, the Eibishter says, Atam Avrim, we're holding after the Jewish people left Egypt, we're holding after 40 years after the Jewish people left Egypt. The Eibishter says, and now you're going to go over to the land that I have chosen, to the land of Canaan, which I have chosen. You're going to go over to that land.
Leaving Egypt and entering
40 years. 40 years. Another 7 years and 14, then 7 to divide. So it's 14 years.
which they got rid of.
No, they didn't get rid of. That was the problem. They didn't get rid of. They did not get rid of. They did not get rid of. David HaMelech took 400 years.
Oh,
That's David HaMelech. Ultimately, that's why the Beis HaMikdash is not built till 500 years after the Jewish people come into the land. So they had the Mishkan and they had these tabernacles for 500 years. David HaMelech came about and did what Moshe Rabbeinu wanted to do. That's why Moshe Rabbeinu wanted to come into the land, because he wanted to come in and clean it out. But it didn't take that. It was not that easy. It was not that simple. It's not that easy. Not that easy. Understand this. What makes Eretz Yisrael special? So let's go to the Medrash. What makes these two factors, right? There were two concepts. There are two concepts. There's the concept of choice of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, choice of God. God chose this earth, and he chose the earth in general, and he chose within the earth a special, again, segula, whatever you want to call it, the choice of HaKadosh Baruch Hu in this land is very Eretz Yisrael Gevulaseh, right? You have the whole world, and within the whole world, you have a very small, right? Very small, smaller than New Jersey. What? Area smaller than Jersey. Yeah, it's area. Earth has an area. And within this area, the Eibishter chose New Jersey. So he could have chose, right? I thought that I always said the mistake of Moshe Rabbeinu, he said go to Canaan, he meant Canada. It was that was the mistake. We should have gone to Canada. He meant Canada, but Canaan, because Canaan, the Eibishter of Canaan, he chose this small area. He could have chose any part of the world to be in these beautiful parts of the world. The Abishah chose Canaan, not because that's choice. That's where you cannot ask why Canaan, because then it wouldn't be choice. Why Canaan? Could be any other part of the world. That Canaan has no reason, because Canaan is special over Sidon or over Mitzrayim or over whatever part of the world you wanted to pick at that time. Canaan, that's the Abish's choice.
Now, isn't that where the God told Abraham to go?
Yeah.
Leave and go to Canaan.
Go to
And
Canaan.
he made the decision.
Correct. Right, so we know that decision already. Right, but then it was Canaan.
Yeah.
Then it was Canaan. It was not Eretz Yisrael. It was Canaan. Really, why couldn't God call it right away when he chose it, Eretz Yisrael? That should have been the right name. If you want to connect these two concepts as one, then the Abba should have said, right, when I'm calling this Eretz Yisrael, the land of Israel. No, the Abba does not call it the land of Israel. He calls it, even in this week's Parsha, where the Jewish people are holding by a ready day, he calls it Eretz Canaan. He calls it the land of Canaan. He called it the land of Canaan at the time of Avraham Avinu. He called it the land of Canaan. We'll talk about 50 years later. Okay. Because the Eibishter, what the Rebbe wants to say is you have to separate between the choice of God and the holiness of the land. You understand? You got to separate the two concepts. Because if not, you're going to get into trouble. You need to understand the choice. The Eibishter chose not to say that Eretz Canaan. You cannot rationally say why Canaan is better than Mitzrayim, or why Canaan is better than Boca. There's no, that's where the Abishah says is Canaan, I've chosen this land. Not because it's better, but that's my choice. That's the choice of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Now, you're going to put the Jews into Eretz Yisrael.
First by his
Correct.
father, right?
Correct.
So
Correct.
why?
Because again, you cannot ask why did God choose Canaan. You can't ask that question because then you have lost the concept of choice.
When did they change?
There's no difference
Israel?
between one and the other. What?
When did they change the name? to-
When the Jews came to Israel, when the Jews conquered the land,
Oh,
it came Eretz Yisrael. It came Eretz Yisrael. The truth is, it was Eretz Yisrael from the beginning, really.
Yeah.
Right? It was Eretz Yisrael from beginning. It was Eretz Yisrael.
The first Rashi?
But that's what Eretz Yisrael accomplishes. That's what Eretz Canaan accomplishes. Eretz Canaan accomplishes that it is a holy place. It can bring out the concept of holiness. But that's after God's choice. That doesn't go together with God's choice. God's choice is that I've chosen Canaan. Why? Because that's what I've chosen. Now, what was the choice of Canaan? The responsibility of Canaan, that it's Eretz Yisrael, that it's a place where it needs to exude, it needs to imbue, it needs to express the concept of Kedusha.
That's the first.
But that's not why it was chosen. I don't want to mix the two. That's not why it was chosen. Once it is chosen, now we have what is its purpose of its choice. The responsibility of Eretz Yisrael. Correct. The Abishah says, I've given the land to you, and now I've chosen to give it to somebody else. That's my choice. You're right, it's Eretz Canaan. I've given it to the Canaanites. But once I gave it to the Canaanites, is not because that's Eretz Canaan, but it's already from the beginning of creation chosen to be a different reality. In essence, that's right. The first Rashi, that's in the beginning of creation. It took 2,000 years for ultimately Eretz Canaan to live its potential, to live its reality. And the question is, that struggle continues till today for Eretz Yisrael to live its reality, to live its potential, not to just be a land between the other lands, but to actually live what the choice, the Abish's choice in the land, its potential, its responsibility. The Rebbe explains it as follows. The Medrash says, Israel is cherished because God chose it. That's it. It's cherished because God chose it. That's why it's cherished. God chose it, and now it becomes cherished. We find that when God created the world, he distributed the lands to the nations, and he chose the land of Israel. For where do we know this? Moses states, when the Most High gave the nations their lot, and God chose the Jews as his portion, as it's stated, because God's portion is his people, is Jacob. God said, let the Jewish people who came into my portion go ahead and inherit the land that came into my portion. So God, that's where you have the two choices. God says, listen, I've chosen Israel, not because of any, I've chosen Israel, not because of any choice. And I've chosen the land of Israel, not because of any choice. Let these two entities come together, because I've chosen it for a purpose, and I've chosen Jews for a purpose, and let these two purposes come together. Because in essence, a Jew, his purpose, or the spiritual purpose, connected to this land, which has a spiritual purpose. And that's why the Jews belong in the land of Israel. Both of them both of them have both two entities, as a chosen entity and as the purpose for the choice. The purpose for the choice is the concept of godliness. Both of them can enhance each other. And that's why these rabbis cried, because even though they were still the chosen people in wherever they were, wherever they were walking there in Flanton, they were still Jews, but they realized that they cannot live their purpose. They cannot live the true segula without living in Eretz Yisrael. They just cannot accomplish that purpose.
So let's charter a plane and let's.
No, because it's still not going to help you. We need Mashiach to come to live the purpose. So we're still gonna be in Gullus. We're gonna still be in Gullus. It's not gonna help us. And that's why the Rebbe says you have to understand these two concepts. You have to understand the concept of the choice and the aspect of the holiness, the concept of what the choice brings about, the responsibility of the choice. It's good to be chosen, but if you cannot accomplish your responsibility, you're still in Gullus. That's why the truth is that's why ultimately a Jew should feel in Gullus. You can live like a Jew, gesundheit. Who's stopping you? No, but you cannot live a total Jew until Mashiach comes. And that's the sadness. So Baruch Hashem, one day after you be happy, Baruch Hashem, we're not living in exile of what the exile used to be thousands of years. We're Baruch Hashem living in freedom, but we're still in exile because we're still missing the responsibility, the ultimate responsibility. That's why most Jews are not looking for the ultimate responsibility. Well, they're pretty happy with the responsibility they have right now. But no, as the ultimately, we're sitting in it 3 weeks. The Churban Beis Hamikdash doesn't give us the capability to live our true responsibility, our true potential. So the Rebbe says in the next message, text 8, God says, the land of Israel is dear to me because I've made it holier than other lands in the world. You yourself know that when the land of Israel was distributed to the tribes, it did not pass from tribe to tribe. Rather, it is distributed to each tribe separately. You see that also, that the way the Eibush divided the land of Israel to the Jewish people, land was divided al pi hagoyel. They didn't just come into land divided in themselves, got a committee and made a division of the land. Al pi hagoyel, you see it in this week's Parsha itself. David says, I'm divided, pi Hashem, it's divided. I know the uniqueness of each tribe to the uniqueness of each part of this land. I understand the responsibility of each tribe, the way they're going to be to the responsibility of each part of the land of Eretz Yisrael. And therefore the land will be divided al pi hagoyel, according to the lottery, al pi Hashem, as we learned in the previous Parsha, that the Goydel was a lottery that was announced, that the essence, they took out the piece of paper, Rashi says, and everything was announced. There was a voice from heaven came out and said, Yehuda, you are going to be at this part of the land. Binyamin, you're going to be in this part of the land. Yisachar, you're going to be in this part of the land, etc., etc. Because in essence, that part of that journey of that tribe was the journey in this part of the land of Eretz. So they fit like a glove, and that was Al Pi Hashem, by the voice of God, which the Abisha said, I have chosen, I've done two entities, both in the land and both in the person. I've created these two
When
entities.
did the voice came out?
Wasn't there, so I can't tell you exactly what means a voice from God. I can't explain to you, but you'll have to admit Shem. When Mashiach comes, you'll get that interpretation, what that
What
means
about the tribe that
exactly.
went across the river? Is that part of?
They were given the part of it, they were given later, part of came, as so became bigger.
But
So
that
to
is
say.
also.
Yeah, that's it. But the Rebbe says, here we come to the Rebbe. The Rebbe says the difference between these two elements manifests itself, among other things, in the names of the land. The land's sanctity accounts for the name, the land of Israel, specifically to the exclusion of other names like the land of Canaan. So the land of Israel shows on its holiness. The land of Canaan shows on its choice. Understand? The Eibishter continues, the Pasuk continues to call the land of Israel the land of Canaan, because that's what the Eibishter chose.
Okay.
The Eibishter chose, when he chose the land, it was the land of Canaan. And then it became the land of Israel, because what the choice represents, the responsibility, that Kedusha, the holiness of the land. Land, because sanctity really has no association with the land of Canaan per se. That's God's choice. The sanctity of the land is the land of Eretz Yisrael. And that's why for thousands of years, the land was the land of Canaan. Any sanctity more than any other land. It was still chosen by God, but it didn't bring out its sanctity. Until Eretz Yisrael, we conquered the land. And now we bring out its sanctity. So in essence, that's why the Eibishter can choose a land, but it's up to the Yid to bring out its sanctity, bring out its holiness. The Eibishter can choose a Yid, but it's up to the Yid to bring out the sanctity of who he is. If you're not going to bring out your sanctity, you'll be like the other guy in the world, which God has created. There's no difference between me and there's an expression in the Gemara. Rabbi Yossi said, Ilav ha-yemi, if not for Matan Torah, how many Joes are in the marketplace? There's a lot of Joes. There's a lot of Yossis in the marketplace. There's a lot of people in the marketplace. Well, no difference between me and other market. What makes me different is a Torah which brings out my Kedusha, which brings out my holiness. So that's what the Torah accomplished. That's what means that the Torah says that I want you to be an Am Kodesh. That the Eibishter chose me is, you're right, the Eibishter chose me, but there's no difference in that choice between me and somebody else. Now that the Eibishter chose me, that means the Eibishter says, I've chosen you to as a responsibility,
Yeah.
that you're going to bring out Kedusha. If not, the choice, it's Eretz Canaan. It's the choice is a choice. That was
British.
no, that was Palestine. Was the Christians. The Constantine. You were Rome. Was Rome.
Is it related to the Philistines?
Different name. That was a disgraceful name. He wanted to disgrace Israel, so he changed it to Palestine. By contrast, that the fact that God chose this land does not call for unique title, the land of Israel. Name like land of the clan can also be used. This is because God chose the land already when he was created the world, elevating it from all the lands. And that's why. So the land of Canaan was chosen by God. Before, when he created the world, Canaan was already chosen. Like the Abraham chose the Jewish nation already before. And when he created the world, you see that in the first Rashi. Now she says the Bereshit bara Elokim. In the beginning, God created the world because of a Jew and because of the Torah. So the whole world was created for that concept. But when was the first Jew brought to the world? In 1948 of creation. Abraham. When was the Torah given? 400 or 500 years later. So the choice of HaKadosh Baruch Hu was whenever it was, in the creation, when God created the world, God created already, chose a part of the world, chose within humanity, but that doesn't change, that didn't bring out any uniqueness in the world. The ultimate uniqueness was brought out in the world and the land of Israel when the Jewish people conquered the land. And when the Jewish people divided the land. And when the Jewish people started to live the land. That's when the uniqueness was ultimately brought out. Correct.
I should say that in front of the United Nations.
You should. You
All
should.
right.
You should.
Elect you.
You should. Because the Eibishter chose humanity. Chose the world. He chose this whole world. That's why Yidden, this whole world. It's about the whole world. It's not about ourselves. That's why redemption is not for ourselves. It's for the whole world. We're never for ourselves. We don't want only goodness in us. We want goodness in the whole world. We don't want only that we should be redeemed. We want the whole world to be redeemed. Safachas. We're not into isolation or exclusivity. So even though we are a nation that mentioned the Beis Hamikdash, it's what we say. Ki Beis Tefillah l'chol ha'am. We allow everybody to come to the Beis Hamikdash. You're allowed to bring a guy is allowed to bring a sacrifice too in the Beis Hamikdash. Not exclusivity, but at the same moment, we understand that we have a responsibility. Our responsibility is different than another nation of the world. We have a different responsibility, and we don't obligate another nation of the world to take on that responsibility. We're willing to take the responsibility not only for ourselves, but for the rest of the world. All of us should realize that we're not only responsibility for ourselves, we're responsibility for the rest of the world. And the rest of the world doesn't need to become Jews, and they won't become Jews. That's not their responsibility. Judaism separates itself from other religions. Other religions say you have to become like us, or else you're dead. You come like us, or you're dead. Physically, you're dead. We'll kill you. So that's the Yiddish guy says, no, we want you to live. You should live. Because it's not your responsibility. We realize it's not your responsibility. It's our responsibility. We're willing to take the responsibility. And we're willing to take responsibility for you. The Gemara says that if the nations of the world would know what the Beis Hamikdash does for them, they would have put sentries around to protect it. Not destroy it, they would have protected it. Beis Hamikdash is not only for the Jewish nation, it's for the rest of the world. It's for the whole world. It's not an exclusive place. That's the way we need to look at the concept of being chosen. Sight in the concept of Eretz Yisrael, and sight in the aspect of being Jewish. You're right. Because the proof is we were chosen before the Torah was given. So you would know you're no different than you can't say you're chosen because you're special, or you're chosen because you're something different. No, a Jew is chosen when he was in Egypt, when he was an Egyptian, when him and the Egyptian were the same. The Eibishter chose you, not better than the Egyptians, not big. I chose you because I chose you. Now, realize that I've chosen you for the responsibility,
Yeah.
for that responsibility, to accept yourself the Torah, to reveal the Torah to the world. That's what I've chosen you for. And that's the next step. That's the concept of Kedusha. That's the aspect of the holiness. Therefore, we find a beautiful medrash. The next medrash, maybe you know this medrash, in text number 10, when God appeared to give the Torah to the Jewish people. It was not the Jewish people alone who he appeared, but to the whole world. First, he went to the children of Esau, right? He asked them, do you want to accept the Torah? They said, what's written in it? And he said, you should not kill. They said the entire essence of our father is murder. That's what we live by. And the hands of Esau, even the Torah says the hands of Esau are. So, and regarding this, Esau's father assured him, and by the sword you shall live. So they even blamed them on the Torah. Said that Isaac said that Esau needs to live by the sword, so it's not for us. He went to the children of Ammon and Moav, and he asked them, "We accept the Torah?" They asked him, "What's written in it? You shall not commit adultery." They said, "What do you mean? Master Universe, the illicit relationship is our entire essence. This is what we live by. It's written in two daughters of Lot conceived by their father. We come from the incestual relationship. You cannot take this away from us." God then went to the founder of the children of Ishmael. He asked him, "Would you accept the Torah?" They said, "What do you mean? What's written?" He said, "You shall not steal." What do you mean? Well, the essence is stealing. We live by this, right? It's written in the Torah. They were not stupid. It's even written in the Torah. It says, "Yishmael shall be wild man. His hand will be against all. His hand will be in everybody's pockets." So that's what we live in. There wasn't a single nation to whom God did not go and speak and knock at their door, ask if they would accept the Torah, until they all divested and seceded to Israel, the Torah. And they realized, so in essence, the nations of the world understood that only the Yidden live, fulfill such an obligation.
This is why maybe we had.
So the nations of the world understood that only the Yidden could be a nation that can say Nasa v'nishma. Only the Yidden could say we are, in essence, that the nations of the world understood that it's impossible for them to accomplish this mission. It's impossible for them to accomplish this mission.
Something over our head. I said, no.
Right. Because the Abishah knew our potential. The Abishah said, even though, why did they said Nasa v'nishma? Why do you have to put the mountain? Think about it. It's a contradiction. They said Nasa v'nishma, we will do and we'll do, and then he put the mountain over their head. So why didn't he? Because the Abishah understood that there's two concepts: the Jew saying Nasa v'nishma, and then there'll be the Jew who won't say Nasa v'nishma, right? There will be the Jew who won't say Nasa v'nishma,
Yeah.
right? The Abishah said, therefore, I have the two concepts: your Nasa v'nishma, your acceptance, and my choice.
My choice.
My choice. Don't forget my choice. Even though you're not going to live out your potential, I still have my choice. What about my choice? I chose you.
Yeah.
I chose you before even you said Nasa v'nishma. I chose you even before. But that choice is my choice. And therefore, if you're not going to do it, I'm going to have to lower down the mountain. So the funny thing is that the Abish put the mountain after they said already, because the Abish understood that the Jew is going to have these two concepts. He's going to have his wanting to fulfill the desire to Nasa v'nishma, and then there's going to be God's choice. God still chose you. Should not. So in essence, we also should have these two aspects. We should realize that the Abish chose us. We have no choice, right? We have no choice. You're a Jew, whether you like it or not. You can say, I'm not Jewish. It's not going to help you. Not going to help you. You're a Jew because God chose you. Finished. You could say, I'm not doing not one mitzvah. I'm doing every sin in the book. And God says, fine. you still, I chose you. Because I didn't choose you for what you're going to do or not going to do. I chose you for my reasons.
Yeah.
Now, hopefully you're going to choose, since I chose you, you're going to choose to do the right thing. But being a Jew has nothing to do on your choice. Being holy, being responsible is your choice. Being Jewish is not your choice. Being responsible is your choice. That's when you choose to my choice. The way the Mishnah says, maybe your choice be like my choice. Because my choice is not going to per se reflect your choice. Because I've chosen you. If my choice would be on the mitzvahs you do, so if you're not doing mitzvahs, hasta la vista, have a good day. You're fired. But my choice is not based on that. So therefore you cannot leave it. I've chosen you above that. I chose like Eretz Canaan. I've chosen Eretz Canaan. I don't care who's living there. It's my choice whether there's Canaan living there, whether the Romans are living there, whether the Babylonians are living there, whether the whoever conquered, how many nations conquered that land? My land. And now that I put Jews on the land, that's your choice. You're going to go conquer the land. You're going to go inhabit the land. Oh, now we have both of our choices coming together because you realize the greatness of the land. You realize the responsibility of the land. Now you have
holiness.
Now you have the beauty of my choice and your choice coming together and making it holy. And we have both there. We have. The truth is, that's why what's happening in Eretz Yisrael today is the concept of Messianic times, because we have Eretz Yisrael rebuilding itself in Torah and mitzvahs, and I'm sure you went to Eretz Yisrael, you saw it with your own eyes. You see the rebuilding of Eretz Yisrael. We see what for thousands of years what the prophet said. There will come a time that you'll walk in the streets of Jerusalem and you'll hear the beauty of young and old. For thousands of years, Jews never imagined that was a fantasy of the prophets. But today you walk and you see it. You walk the streets of Jerusalem, you hear the beautiful songs of boys and girls and the learning of Torah and davening and so it is, Baruch Hashem. But we're not there yet. We're getting there. We're getting there. The Rebbe writes, we were holding it. So true choice is possible. When two is right, we're holding text 11. So the two choices only possible when there are two equivalence between two items in question. In such a situation, a person exercises his or her objection, discerning on the choice of one item. Accordingly, due to the sanctity of the Torah mitzvah, the Jewish people and the non-Jewish people, counterparts, lack equivalence. And so true choice is impossible. So they're able to choose the Jewish people because they did Torah mitzvahs, then it wouldn't be choice. We are compelled to say that when God chose the Jewish people, it was nothing to do with their sanctity. Rather, to the contrary, it is his choice that introduced the sanctity to begin with. That introduced the sanctity. Because God chose us, now we Jews can become sanctified. If not for God's choice, you would not be able to become sanctified. But when God chose it, he had nothing to do with the sanctity. So God did not choose it because it would become sanctity. God chose it because God chose it. Now that God chose it, now we become sanctified. In clear language, the relationship a Jew enjoys with God as a result of this choice is from God's very core connection with the core of a Jew. The relationship that is created due to a Jew's sanctity, namely through Torah and mitzvahs, that are the will and the desire of God, doesn't connect a Jew's core with God. It's a connection predicted on something, Torah and mitzvahs, but predicated on something. That means that there's a reason. The reason that we are connected to God is to Torah and mitzvahs. That's a reason. So it's not real. That means that without the Torah and mitzvahs, I'm not connected to God. When the true connection between a Jew and God is God's choice, not because of any reason, but God's choice.
A better. We were appointed.
No, because then appointed is for a reason. I'm appointed for a reason. Choice is I have no reason. There is no reason. Point A over B. No, there usually is a reason. There usually is a reason.
Free choice.
Because usually A is better than B. That's what the Abishah chose Jews over the world, over nations of the world. There is no reason. Meaning, the second you're going to give me, oh, Jews are holier, then you're creating, or Jews are better.
Yes.
Jews are, no, there's no reason. That's what they have to realize. There's no reason.
I thought we had
What is important to us? God's choice is our responsibility.
yeah.
That's the meaning of choice to us. To God, there is no reason. To us is the responsibility that we should be holy. That's the concept to us. This. Really, we have to say, what is choice to us? Responsibility. That's the explanation of choice to us. God chose us to be responsible. The Rebbe says this on a statement of the Zohar. Maybe you ever heard the statement. There's this expression of the Zohar. 3 knots bond one to another. Flossing, caution. There are 3 knots that bond one to the other. Yisrael v'Yiraisa. Yisrael is bonded with the Torah. I'm sorry. Yisrael v'Yiraisa v'Kudsha b'Richa. There are 3 concepts. The Yisrael, Yiraisa, the Torah, and the Yebishter. And there are 3 knots. Yisrael Meskashim B'Yiraisa. The Jews are bonded with the Torah. V'Yiraisa b'Kudsha b'Richa. And the Torah is bonded with God. Where do you see a problem in this statement? No, it doesn't work because it says there are 3. We're missing a 3rd bond. Right? There are 3 bonds, and then he says that the Jew is bonded with the Torah, and the Torah is bonded with God. So where's the 3rd bond? Bond. There are 3 bonds.
The bond that God is bonded with us.
That doesn't say that. It says the Jews. That's the 3rd bond. See, but it doesn't go. It doesn't go. But he doesn't say that in the Zohar. It says there are 2 bonds. There are 3 bonds, and then 1 bond is the Jewish people are bonded with the Torah, and the 2nd bond is the Jewish people are bonded. The Torah is bonded with God. The 3rd bond is not a bond that it goes in the same category. That's a bond that's connected to reason. Self-understood. When the Jewish people are bonded with the Torah, and the Torah is bonded with God, so you have a bond. But then you have a 3rd bond. That's a choice by God, and that's the bond between Jews and God. That's a choice by HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's above reason. It's the core of the essence. It's above comprehension. And that bond doesn't go into that. So he says he starts with 3 bonds, and he says 2 bonds. Because the 2 bonds that he says is self-understood, a bond that's a reason. There's a bond between the Jew and the Torah, and the bond between the Torah and God is a bond that makes sense. But the bond between us and God is not a bond that makes any sense. It's a bechira chafshis, free choice. Free choice. It has no meaning. There's no reason to that choice. Let's end off over here. We're late already. Text number 13. When God chose the Jewish people at the giving of the Torah, it was an unilateral choice, from the very core of the chooser. This influenced the relationship between God and the Jewish people for long after that time, creating a connection that not only is dint of that what the Jew does, but embedded within his or her very identity. At the giving of the Torah, the Jews just became servants. A servant doesn't naturally want to carry out his master's wishes. Rather, a Jew is entirely indentured to God at his very core, leaving all other elements behind. A Jew's entire identity is bound up with his creator, has nothing to do with what he does or he doesn't do. Now the Torah continues and says, and you shall be to me a kingdom of princes. You will be a treasure to me in the sense that you will be a kingdom of princes to guide and to teach the entire human race to invoke God's name and to worship his shoulder to shoulder. Shoulder to shoulder means that to teach the world that we all have a responsibility. The Jews have their responsibility, and the nations of the world have their responsibility. Our responsibility is to bring out godliness into the world. Your responsibility is to make this world a viable world, so godliness should be revealed in the world. If you have a chaotic world, if you have strife and hatred and wars and destruction, you have a problem with revealing godliness in this world. Perfect timing. We need to work together. We are not in challenge. We are not over here. Or we're not here trying to be better than you, greater than you, more precious than you. We are here in the world to work hand in hand. Every nation has their responsibility. Over here, this ends the Rebbe Sikha. He this class over brings over here two expressions by John Adams and Paul Johnson. John Adams, second president of the United States of America, said, in spite of after Hedry, you know what the heck, Boybrook, an English politician, government official, and a political philosopher who wrote negatively about the Torah and its teachings. And Volatroy was verbally attacked the Torah and the Jews, anti-Semitic campaigns. Voltaire. I will insist that the Hebrews have done more to civilize man than any other nation.
Wow.
If I were an atheist and believed in blind eternal faith, I would still believe that the chance had ordered the Jews to be the most essential instrument for civilizing the nations. If I were an atheist to other sects who believed or pretend to believe that all is ordered by chance, I should believe that chance has ordered the Jews to preserve and to propagate to all mankind the doctrine of supreme intelligence, wise and almighty, sovereign of the universe, which I believe to be the great essential principle of all morality and consequently of all civilizations. I can't say that I love the Jews very much, neither, nor the French, nor the English, nor the Romans, nor the Greeks. We must love all nations as well as we can, but it's very hard to love most of them.
Wow.
So that was good. It was very powerful. So Paul Johnson, that's text number 15b, was an English journalist, historian, 1950s. Have this book, Joel Johnson? He wrote in New York Harper wrote 1987. One way to sum it up 4,000 years of Jewish history is to ask yourself, what would happen to the human race if Abraham had not been a man of great sagacity? If he had stayed in Ur and kept his higher notions to himself, and no specific Jewish people had come into being, certainly the world without the Jew would have been a radically different place.
Yeah.
All the great conceptual discoveries of intelligence seems to obviously and incapable one once they have been revealed, but it requires a special genius to formulate them for the first time. The Jew has this gift. To them, we owe the idea of equality before the law, both divine and human, of the sanctity of life and the dignity of human person, of the individual conscience, and so of personal redemption, of collective conscience and social responsibility, of peace as an abstract ideal, and love as the foundation of justice, and many other items which constitute the basic moral furniture of human mind. Without the Jew, it might have been much an emptier place. Wow.
Wow, awesome.
That's the beauty, my friend. I wish you all a great week. A Shavua Tov, and we'll see you in Midshem next Thursday. Have a wonderful week.